Golden retrievers might be the closest thing the dog world has to a universal favorite. Ask people to imagine the perfect family dog, and there's a good chance they're picturing a golden retriever. Friendly, loyal, patient, lovable, great with families, great with kids, and somehow always smiling like life is going exactly according to plan. And honestly, a lot of that reputation is deserved. Golden retrievers are amazing dogs, but somewhere along the way, the internet started treating them like they're perfect dogs. And that's where the problem starts, because while Goldens are wonderful companions, they also come with plenty of challenges that people rarely talk about before bringing one home. So today, we're talking about why Golden retrievers aren't perfect, and why their owners usually love them anyway. Before we start, make sure to check out our selected and recommended products linked down below. 1. The shedding is absolutely ridiculous. One of the biggest surprises for first-time Golden Retriever owners is discovering that all that beautiful golden fur eventually has to go somewhere. And unfortunately, that place is usually everywhere. People see a Golden Retriever and think, "What a gorgeous coat." Experienced owners see a Golden Retriever and think, "There goes my black clothing collection." Because these dogs shed. A lot, and not just during certain times of the year either. Many Golden owners eventually come to a terrifying realization. The dog is always shedding. Sometimes it's a little, sometimes it's a lot. Sometimes it feels like the dog secretly manufactures additional fur overnight just to keep production levels high. You brush them and remove enough hair to build a second Golden Retriever. Then somehow the next day there's more. The fur gets everywhere. On your couch, in your car, on your clothes, on your bed, in your food. Inside rooms, the dog hasn't entered in 3 days. At some point, owners stop trying to understand the logistics of it. They simply accept that Golden Retriever fur has achieved a level of distribution previously reserved for air molecules. And honestly, social media doesn't help. Online, Goldens always look perfect. Beautiful coat, perfect lighting, happy smile, majestic family companion. What you don't see is the owner spending 20 minutes with a lint roller before leaving the house because the dog lightly brushed against their leg earlier. And the funny thing is that Golden owners almost never seem genuinely angry about it. Defeated? Absolutely. Resigned? Without question. But angry? Not really. Because somehow Goldens have mastered the art of being so lovable that they can slowly convert your entire home into a fur-covered ecosystem and still convince you they're innocent. And honestly, that's probably their first real superpower. The shedding isn't a bug. It's a lifestyle. 2. They never leave you alone. One of the reasons people fall in love with Golden Retrievers is also one of the reasons they can become surprisingly exhausting. These dogs absolutely adore their people, and when I say adore, I don't mean happy to see you after work. I mean emotionally committed to monitoring your location at all times. Golden Retrievers often become professional followers. Kitchen, they're there. Living room, already waiting. Bathroom, unfortunately, still there. Stand up for no obvious reason and you'll often hear the sound of a Golden Retriever immediately getting up too because apparently your movements now require supervision. And honestly, at first, it's incredibly cute. People feel loved, wanted, important. The dog chooses to spend time with them constantly. What's not to like? But here's the part social media rarely talks about. Some Goldens become so attached to their owners that they struggle to relax when those owners aren't around. And this is where things can get difficult. A lot of people hear, Golden Retrievers love people. What they don't hear is, some Golden Retrievers love people so much that being alone feels emotionally offensive. Many Goldens are happiest when they're involved in whatever the family is doing. Watching TV? Included. Cooking dinner? Included. Cleaning the house? Included. Trying to carry groceries while a large dog silently follows 6 inches behind you? Also included. And honestly, their timing is impressive. You can spend an hour sitting quietly and the dog seems perfectly relaxed. The exact moment you stand up to do something important, the golden retriever suddenly materializes directly in your walking path, like a furry project manager conducting an unexpected inspection. And because they're so friendly and people-oriented, many Goldens don't naturally enjoy long periods of isolation. This can sometimes lead to clinginess, separation anxiety, attention-seeking behavior, boredom, and emotional protests when left alone. Now, to be fair, not every golden retriever develops these issues, but many owners are genuinely surprised by how deeply attached these dogs become. Because Goldens don't just enjoy human company. For many of them, human company is the activity. And honestly, that's part of what makes them such incredible family dogs. The downside is that you may never experience privacy again. Your golden retriever isn't trying to invade your personal space. It simply believes your personal space belongs to both of you now. 3. They stay puppies for an incredibly long time. One of the biggest myths about golden retrievers is that they're automatically calm, mature family dogs, and eventually, many of them are. The problem is that some owners expect that version of the dog to arrive a lot sooner than it actually does. Because golden retrievers often stay puppy-like for a surprisingly long time, and we're not talking about the cute puppy face. We're talking about the decision-making. A lot of Goldens spend years acting like oversized toddlers with unlimited enthusiasm and very questionable judgment. And honestly, that's where some of the funniest and most frustrating moments come from. People imagine bringing home a future-wise family companion. Instead, they spend the next few years living with a 30-kilogram golden missile that gets excited by tennis balls, leaves, visitors, socks, other dogs, absolutely nothing at all. Everything is exciting, everything is interesting, everything deserves maximum enthusiasm. And while that sounds adorable, it can become exhausting when the dog is large enough to accidentally rearrange furniture during a particularly emotional greeting. This is especially surprising for first-time owners. The internet often shows mature golden retrievers, calm, gentle, patient, relaxed. What people don't see as often is the long journey required to get there, because many young Goldens have the impulse control of a motivational speaker who just discovered caffeine. Visitors arrive, best day ever. Ball appears, best day ever. You return from taking the trash out for 90 seconds, best day ever. And honestly, their optimism is almost impressive. A golden retriever can experience the exact same event thousands of times and still react like it just witnessed a miracle. But here's where things get difficult. That puppy-like mindset means many Goldens require more training, patience, and consistency than people expect. A large, enthusiastic dog that jumps, pulls, steals objects, or forgets personal boundaries isn't automatically dangerous, but it can definitely become overwhelming, especially for families that expected instant perfection because the breed has such a positive reputation. And honestly, this is one of the reasons some owners underestimate the work involved. Golden retrievers are often portrayed as naturally well-behaved. The reality is that many become well-behaved because their owners put in the time to guide all that energy and enthusiasm in the right direction. The good news? Most Goldens eventually mature into the calm, reliable companions people imagine. The bad news: you may spend a few years wondering why your giant adult dog still behaves like a child who just drank 6 energy drinks. Don't forget to check out our selected and recommended products. They might just be the perfect tools to make your life easier when it comes to caring for your pawed friend. 4. Separation anxiety can be brutal. One of the less glamorous realities of owning a golden retriever is that all that love and loyalty can sometimes come with a price. Because dogs that become deeply attached to their people can also become deeply unhappy when those people disappear. And honestly, golden retrievers are one of the breeds most likely to struggle with this, not because they're weak, not because they're badly behaved, but because many of them genuinely build their daily lives around being close to their family. Remember earlier when we talked about how Goldens follow their owners everywhere? This is the darker side of that same personality trait. Some Goldens don't just enjoy your company, they depend on it emotionally. Which means when you leave, the dog isn't always thinking, "Cool, I'll nap until they get back." Sometimes the dog is thinking, "This family has abandoned me and civilization is collapsing." And unfortunately, that emotional response can lead to separation anxiety. Now, not every Golden develops it. Plenty of Goldens are perfectly comfortable being left alone for reasonable periods of time. But when separation anxiety does appear, it can become a serious challenge. Owners may notice excessive barking, whining, pacing, destructive behavior, chewing furniture, scratching doors, stress-related behaviors. And the weird thing is that many of these dogs aren't being destructive because they're naughty. They're being destructive because they're stressed. That's a huge difference. A bored dog destroys your pillow because it looked interesting. An anxious dog destroys your pillow because emotionally it's having a rough day. And honestly, this catches a lot of people off guard because Golden Retrievers have such a positive reputation that owners sometimes assume they'll naturally adapt to any situation. But being friendly and loving doesn't automatically mean being emotionally independent. In fact, the opposite can be true. The more emotionally connected the dog becomes, the harder separation can feel. This is especially common when people accidentally teach the dog that constant attention is normal. The Golden gets included in everything, every activity, every room, every moment of the day, which sounds wonderful, until the first time the dog suddenly has to spend several hours alone. And honestly, you can understand the confusion from the dog's perspective. For months, life was basically family everywhere, happiness everywhere. Then one morning, nobody is here. Explain immediately. The good news is that separation anxiety can often be improved through training, confidence building, routines, and gradual independence. But it's definitely one of those Golden Retriever realities that doesn't get mentioned nearly as often as the smiling photos and heartwarming family videos. Because social media loves showing the loyalty, it doesn't always show the emotional dependency that sometimes comes with it. 5. They eat absolutely everything. If Golden Retrievers had one official hobby besides loving people, it would probably be putting random objects in their mouths. And honestly, this starts when they're puppies and sometimes never fully goes away. Golden Retrievers are famous for carrying things around: shoes, socks, toys, sticks, remote controls, objects that should absolutely not be portable. And while it's often funny, it can also become surprisingly frustrating. Because many Goldens approach the world with the curiosity of a toddler and the appetite of a professional competitive eater. Their thought process often seems to be, interesting object detected, further investigation required, mouth first. And unfortunately, not everything in a house is safe for scientific research. This is one of those realities that catches first-time owners completely off guard. People expect a friendly family dog. What they don't expect is a furry vacuum cleaner capable of swallowing things that have absolutely no nutritional value whatsoever. And the weirdest part, many Goldens don't even seem particularly concerned about what the item actually is. Food, great. Sock, also great. Random cardboard. Let's gather more information. An object that clearly shouldn't be eaten under any circumstances. Now we're interested. And because they're naturally retrieving dogs, carrying objects feels incredibly rewarding to many of them. That's literally part of what they were bred to do. The problem is that some Goldens never got the memo that retrieving and consuming are supposed to be separate activities. And honestly, this is where a lot of expensive vet visits begin. Golden Retriever owners have stories. Lots of stories. Stories involving socks, underwear, toys, rocks, entire loaves of bread, mysterious missing objects that later became veterinary discussions. And somehow every Golden owner eventually reaches the same point. How did you even get that? The dog never answers. It simply continues smiling. And this is what makes Goldens so dangerous. Not physically dangerous, emotionally dangerous. Because they're so friendly and innocent-looking that people constantly underestimate how much trouble they can get into. A husky looks like it's planning something. A Golden Retriever looks like it has never had a bad thought in its life. Meanwhile, it's actively attempting to eat a kitchen sponge. And honestly, that's probably why these dogs get away with so much. The face says, "I am an angel." The behavior says, "I just swallowed a sock and we both know it," which is a surprisingly common Golden Retriever experience. 6. They are too friendly for their own good. One of the strangest downsides of Golden Retrievers is that some of their best qualities can occasionally become weaknesses. Because Golden Retrievers are famous for being friendly, incredibly friendly, suspiciously friendly, sometimes so friendly that owners start wondering whether the dog has any survival instincts at all. And honestly, this sounds like a joke until you actually live with one. A lot of breeds naturally approach strangers with caution. Golden Retrievers often approach strangers with the enthusiasm of somebody reuniting with a long-lost friend. Mail carrier, amazing person. Random visitor, amazing person. Plumber, amazing person. Potential burglar. Let's not jump to conclusions. Could still be an amazing person. And this is where reality clashes with expectations, because many first-time owners imagine a large dog automatically provides some level of protection. The dog is big, the dog is athletic, the dog has an impressive bark. Surely intruders will be intimidated. The Golden Retriever has different plans. A stranger enters the house and the dog often reacts with, "Welcome. Would you like to be my best friend immediately?" And honestly, that's one reason Goldens are often terrible guard dogs. Not because they're unintelligent, not because they're cowardly. They're simply too optimistic. Their default assumption is that everyone is nice until proven otherwise, which is honestly a refreshing worldview, just not a particularly effective security strategy. And the friendliness doesn't stop with humans either. Many Goldens genuinely want to interact with other dogs, children, guests, delivery drivers, joggers, people walking by, basically anything that appears remotely capable of friendship. And while this makes them incredible family companions, it can also create challenges. Some Goldens become so excited about meeting everyone that they completely forget basic manners. Suddenly, your sweet family dog is pulling toward every human being within visual range because friendship opportunities are apparently time-sensitive. And honestly, their optimism is almost impossible not to laugh at. A Golden Retriever can have 500 positive interactions with strangers and still approach interaction number 501 with the exact same excitement. No emotional growth, no skepticism, just pure unwavering belief that every new person is potentially wonderful, and maybe that's why people love them so much. In a world full of cynicism, Golden Retrievers somehow maintain the emotional outlook of somebody who's never had a bad day. The downside? Your home security system might enthusiastically help burglars carry things to the car. The upside? You'll probably never meet a dog more genuinely happy to make new friends. 7. Why people still think they're perfect. Anyway, after all of this, the shedding, the clinginess, the separation anxiety, the endless puppy energy, the missing socks, and the complete inability to treat strangers with even a tiny amount of suspicion, Golden Retrievers are still one of the most beloved dog breeds on Earth. And honestly, There's a very good reason for that, because despite all their flaws, Golden Retrievers are exceptionally good at something many dog breeds struggle to match. They make people feel loved. A lot of dogs form strong bonds with their owners. Golden Retrievers often make that bond impossible to ignore. These dogs don't just live in your house. They actively participate in your life. They greet you like you've returned from war after taking the trash out. They celebrate ordinary moments like their national holidays, and somehow they make people feel important simply by being excited that they're around. And honestly, humans are complete suckers for that. Because while nobody enjoys vacuuming fur every day, it's difficult to stay annoyed when a smiling golden retriever is staring at you like you're the greatest thing that's ever happened to civilization. The same dog that stole your sock yesterday somehow convinces you it's innocent today. The same dog that knocked over a chair because it got excited about a squirrel somehow receives immediate forgiveness. The same dog that cost you money, sleep, patience, and occasionally sanity somehow becomes one of your favorite living creatures anyway. And that's really the secret. Golden Retrievers aren't perfect. They're just incredibly easy to love. People sometimes confuse those two things. The internet often presents Goldens like they're flawless family dogs that naturally do everything right. But the reality is much more interesting. They're messy. They're emotional. They're needy. They're occasionally ridiculous. They're often more work than people expect, but they're also loyal, affectionate, optimistic, friendly, and genuinely devoted to the people they care about. And honestly, that's probably a better reason to love a dog than perfection ever was. Because perfect dogs don't really exist. What exists are dogs whose strengths are worth their flaws, and Golden Retrievers might be one of the best examples of that. Don't forget to check out our selected and recommended products. They might just be the perfect tools to make your life easier when it comes to caring for your pawed friend. So, are Golden Retrievers perfect? Not even close. They shed enough fur to create environmental concerns. They follow you like unpaid assistants. They stay immature longer than many owners expect. They occasionally develop separation anxiety. They investigate the world mouth first. And they would probably help a burglar carry your television if the burglar seemed friendly enough. But honestly, that's kind of the point. The internet often talks about Golden Retrievers as if they're flawless dogs. The reality is that they're simply dogs with very lovable flaws, and maybe that's why they've become one of the most popular breeds in the world, because people don't fall in love with perfection. They fall in love with personality. And Golden Retrievers have personality in ridiculous amounts. They're affectionate, optimistic, friendly, loyal, occasionally chaotic, and almost impossible to stay mad at for very long. So no, Golden Retrievers aren't perfect, but they might be one of the best examples of a dog whose strengths make people happily accept all the flaws that come with them. And honestly, that's probably a lot better than perfection anyway.